Pretty recently, I got to visit Walibi, Belgium for the first time. This was an incredible park, and in this video I'm going to highlight my 15 favorite rides that I rode. At number 15 spot we have Fun Pilot VCR Force Coaster. This was actually surprisingly good and one of the better force coasters that I've ridden. The Helix itself, the first one, have some pretty good force actually, some pretty good positive force. And then going into the second Helix, you'll have some good laterals going into it that will then transform into some pretty good positives. So this is a great little kiddie family coaster. Number 14 goes to this really strange family flat ride. It's pretty fun, it's called Octopus. When it does what you see here where it lifts, it's pretty fun, doesn't really provide any forces, just fun. But after that it stops tilting and just turns around on that kind of thing it goes on, providing some really good laterals, which is what keeps it this high for me. Next up we have a ride that I expected to be pretty good, but it was just kind of ass. That was Calamity Mine. Don't get me wrong, the theming here is great, but the ride experience itself was just not great at all. I was towards the front, that needs to be mentioned, because that were the only seats we could get with our speedy passes. And these mine trims tend to be a lot better towards the back row. But if you compare this to Colorado Adventure and Fantasyland front row, this is much worse. And I did expect it to be weaker than Colorado, but I still expect this to be a fun ride. And it was mainly the theming and just the long ride that I really enjoyed here, other than the elements actually being good at all. So this is where we take a big step upwards in this ranking, because I think Cobra is a lot better than Calamity Mine. This ride is amazing in my opinion. These boomerangs get way too much hate for me. I think they're not that smooth, but they're not that uncomfortable either. And they provide some really good positive forces, especially in the backwards loop. The Cobra roll is also quite fun. Not that fun backwards though, but both drops are also super fun, especially the first one, which actually feels a bit like a weaker version of a dive coaster drop. Of course weaker because it's not vertical, but it's still a really fun ride, this one. Number 11 I have Le Palace de Guinea or something like that, which is the madhouse. I love madhouses, and these are very good, and this one is definitely one of the better ones. I will say it's definitely my top 3 madhouses. Great theming, great pre-show, and great madhouse itself. It feels super disorientating, which is the purpose of these rides. Okay, so Nick and Flor is going to kill me for this placement, but at number 10 for me is Ratchet River, the rapids ride of this park. This is a good rapids. The thing is, it is super inconsistent. For example, this tunnel right here, that is super bland, nothing happens here in here. And there is several places that just nothing interesting happens, but when there happens stuff, it is top notch, and if it was consistent with that, it would be one of the best rapids in Europe for sure in my opinion. For example, the finale of this rapids is just water fountain after water fountain and a big tunnel of them, and it is just incredibly fun. And also some of the, you get some yanks here actually when it goes into the sides and stuff, which is also super fun. So bits of this are great, but it is too inconsistent to be one of my favorite rapids. Beating Ratchet River for me is Flashback, the lock room here. I believe this is exactly the same layout as the one at Walibi, Holland. However, this one has better theming and therefore it's a better ride in my opinion. It's a super good lock room. 3 drops, one of them is backwards, which means you also have a turntable, which is a really fun element on lock rooms. And then the last one is a double down, which is always super fun. So yeah, great lock room, one of the better ones for sure that I've ridden. Next up I have a family coaster, a Gerslauer bobsled coaster. This is the definition of a fun ride. Chihuahua just provides a little bit of everything. A little bit of slide floater airtime, some good laterals, some really strong laterals on some of these switchbacks actually, and just a super funky, smooth, pleasant layout. I really like this family coaster, it is amazing. Number 7 spot goes to Pulsar, the Mag Power Splash at this park. This is a super fun alternative to the normal Mag water coasters, and I prefer this one to all of them. So this is a really fun ride. It is smooth, pleasant to ride, and it has some great theming in the queue line as well. And then speed hill provides some surprisingly airtime, especially when you take it backwards, and backwards airtime is just super fun. Also the launches are surprisingly punchy, some of the strongest mag launches I've experienced for sure, and then the backwards spike is really fun as well, and yeah, it gives a good sensation of COG. Number 6 spot goes to Challenge of Tutankhamun, which is a trackless shooting dark ride. This dark ride is absolutely amazing. I really didn't expect this to be this good, but it was incredible. It is super well themed, super high quality, and have some amazing effects in here. It is themed enough to not be a shooting dark ride, however I still think it adds to the ride. And this dark ride even have a final room that you will only enter if you win the competition. Number 5 we have Psyche Underground. I actually expected this to be my second favorite ride, and this ride didn't disappoint me that much. Some parts of the rides disappointed me, but some of the parts of the rides were pleasantly surprising to me. The launch of this ride was pretty much as expected, not too forceful but super fun. The vertical loop was much better than I expected, super great, super forceful, and super fun in the dark with light effects. And then the spikes, they disappointed me. The first spike, I only rode in the back row again due to the speedy passes. But yeah, you barely get up that spike. But then the backwards vertical loop is amazing. That might just be my favorite vertical loop. I got a tickling sensation of butterflies in my stomach that I don't get on many rides anymore, but I got in the loop and that was incredible. And then the backward spike was super disappointing because it broke before the spike. That was honestly such a momentum killer that just could easily been left out. Number 4 we have Delton Terra. This was a pleasant surprise for me because I've never heard people talk about this drop tower, so I didn't expect it to be that strong. I expect it to be a middle of the road drop tower. It is one of the best drop towers that I've ridden. It is super forceful, and I will compare to stuff like Fritfell and Grunalund that I also ridden recently. And I heard people praise that one. But this one is just as good for me. It's amazing. Okay, so number 3 spot we have the other trackless shooting dark ride, Popcorn Revenge. So this dark ride was so much better than I expected it to be. So first of all, this is so well done with that trackless system, with having this kind of middle area that I really love. Then it has several rooms with the screens where you have to shoot living popcorns. The theme here is kind of similar. Both the theme and the system reminds me a little bit of Mouse Out Chocolate in Fantasyland. However, I like this ride a lot better. It's my favorite shooting dark ride, and I think it's absolutely incredible. Okay, so number 2 spot goes to the surprise of the entire trip. That was Loop Guru at Walibi, Belgium. This coaster was absolutely insane. I did expect this to be a rough piece of shit, but it was an amazing coaster in my opinion. Yes, it is rough, but I can look past that with that couch seat you have. And also, one thing that is quite annoying is that you need to hold on to a lap bar to not get stable to an uncomfortable degree. But when that's said, this delivers an amazing ride experience both in front and back row in my opinion, with some amazing airtime. Some of these drops just push you down in the back row, and some of the hills push you up in the front row, both giving floater ejector, and you get airtime on every hill on this ride. Also you get some good laterals on almost every turn. So overall, I really don't see why this ride is so hated. I think it's an amazing coaster. Just for the sake of including every ride that I rode, I'm going to include my number 16 spot, Vampire, as well. Yeah, this ride was a piece of shit. It's one of the roughest SLCs that I've ever ridden. I was second to the front row and I got some of the most painful headbang that I've ever gotten. Also, this is completely isolated from the rest of the park, and the area doesn't live up to the rest of the park at all. It looks old, it looks bad. This coaster is terrible. Remove this piece of shit. At number 1, we have Conda. This coaster is absolutely incredible. It is one of my favorite coasters of all time now. The presentation of this ride is great, with this big area is located in this African little area. And then the entrance is probably the best entrance I've ever seen for any coasters, period. The queue line is around the coaster, not that well themed, but you can get some good views of the coaster. And then the station is well themed and have some great dispatch music to get you even more hyped for the ride. And the ride itself is absolutely incredible. It's pretty smooth, and the drop here are amazing. Some great eject airtime, and some good laterals, a good whip halfway through the drop. And then the first 2 hills here are some of the best sustained ejector airtime moments I've ever experienced. Some of the best coaster moments I've ever experienced. They are that amazing. And then the ride is filled with the fun floaty elements, some good doses of positive G's, some good whip moments, and some more fantastic, strong ejector airtime moments. The finale of this ride is similar to the one on Untamed, which is quite unique for a Intamin Mega / Hyper model. But I appreciate the uniqueness of this one. As much as it is not nearly as strong as, for example, Untamed's finale, it's much faster through these hills, so it has its own positives that I really enjoy as well. So I think this is a perfect coaster. This is truly amazing. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye guys.